The Bears still suck. The Bears still suck. The Bears still suck. That's right. The Bears still suck. We own you. The Green Bay Packers defeated the Chicago Bears yesterday. Doing this Monday. It's yesterday. Defeated the Chicago Bears 20-19 in the 209th meeting between these two historic franchises. The Green Bay Packers continue to lead this series, winning their 11th straight. They now lead the series 108-95 and 6 ties. So, complete total domination. It has now officially been 2,164 days since the Chicago Bears beat the Packers. It's a long time. Let's get right into it. It wasn't pretty, obviously. But the Packers got it done. And we'll get started, as we always do, with the offense. Jordan Love was 13 of 17 for 261 yards, 1 touchdown pass, and 1 interception. He also did have a rushing touchdown near the end of the game. Jordan, again, struggling with the interceptions. I think it's like this 8th straight game with a pick. But take away the interception, and Jordan actually played very well. He made good decisions. He kept the ball when he needed to. He threw it away when he needed to. He had a couple passes that were pretty good. So you can knock him on the interception, but he did play good, and he did manage a game-winning drive right at the end. We look at rushing. Josh Jacobs continued to be that guy and help the Packers win. He had 18 attempts for 76 yards and a touchdown. So he continues to be a workhorse and really do exactly what the Packers need him to do on offense. If we look at, like I said, Jordan did have a rushing touchdown. Leading in the receiving end, Christian Watson just had a spectacular day. 4 receptions, 150 yards. It was like any time the Packers needed a big play in most of the situations, Christian Watson was right there. That diving catch he had on the Packers' final drive with 3.5 minutes to go in the game, one of the coolest catches I've seen all season. Big diving catch, got his hand under there, made sure he kept the ball, got right up, and just started running. I believe that was like a 60-yard gain, but it put the Packers in position to score what ended up being the game-winning touchdown. Other receiving leaders, Jayden Reed had 2 receptions for 23 yards and a touchdown. His touchdown came on a free play. Jordan Love caught the Bears subbing. There was 12 man on the field for the Bears. Free play, throws a dart right to Jayden Reed. That was the first score of the game. Romeo Doubs, not really a big factor. He had 1 reception for 17 yards. He also did have a drop on a 3rd down, and that's something you really expect. Romeo's got to catch that ball. You really expect him to catch that ball. Tucker Kraft was targeted once. I believe Wicks was targeted. Yep, Kraft and Wicks were both targeted once. Kraft was targeted when the ball flew right over his head, and it was intercepted. And Wicks did have another target, but neither of them caught it. So this is the thing with the Packers offense, is that different guys make plays every single week, which is why you really can't nail down wide receiver 1 or 2 with the Packers, because it seems that every week somebody else is making plays. It's Reed one week, then it's Dobbs, and it's Wicks, and it's Kraft, then it's Watson. So that's kind of the good thing for the Packers, is that they have these weapons that can make a difference any week. It's any week. Any of these guys can be huge factors and make the biggest plays and end up winning the game for the Packers. Overall, I think on the offensive side, there was a lot of bad play calling yesterday. The Packers were 0-1 on 4th downs. It was 4th and goal. I'm just not understanding the play call. You go. To me, you go and take the points in that situation, take the field goal. They didn't, and then it was some weird run, and it didn't work, and it just really looked dumb. There was another. They were 3-5 in the red zone, which is not great. It's just some of the plays when they got down in the red zone, running it out of the shotgun on third and short, doing dumb jet sweeps, and I'll continue to say this every week. The jet sweep is one of the dumbest plays, and I don't understand why the Packers keep doing it. It never works out in their favor. It rarely ever works out. I think Jayden Reed has made it work maybe once or twice this season. Other than that, it's always a big tackle for loss, and it never ends well. So let's stop doing that. Just a lot of questionable play calling in this game. And then Matt LaFleur had a challenge when clearly Jordan was out of bounds. He got over the line, but he was clearly out of bounds, and we all saw it. And it's just a waste of a challenge. I'm just not understanding it. I know Matt LaFleur is a very, very good coach. I know he's very, very good with the play calling, but it's here and there. In some weeks, it's like, what are we doing? It's just like, it's boneheaded stuff. But anyway, it ended up working out just fine. I think my main concern in this game was the defense. The Bears offense, we'll get to the numbers of the Bears offense, but the Bears offense was able to do pretty much whatever the heck they wanted to do all game. Caleb Williams was able to run the ball wherever he wanted. He had short passes for quick gains. The Bears came out aggressive and smart and quick, and they just diced up the Packers defense. This Packers defense that was one of the best in the NFL just a couple weeks ago, and all of a sudden it's like they were on the field and they looked lost. They had wide receivers open over here and wide receivers open over there, especially on that last drive. There's no excuse for that last drive to go as far as it did. You had them pretty much dead to rights on 3rd and 19, and you ended up letting them get all the way down to 4th and 3, and you ended up letting them convert and get closer and closer to the field goal. Luckily, Eberflus is kind of an idiot, and he didn't run the clock, or he didn't try to get closer. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But the Packers defense, no turnovers. This is a Bears team, and they only sacked him 3 times. 2 of the sacks came on that last drive. This is a Bears team that allowed 9 sacks against the New England Patriots last week. 9, and got to them 3 times, twice on the final drive. So it kind of blows my mind. The pass rush isn't there. They're not covering very well. Ja went out. He had 10 snaps, and then Jair was out again. For whatever reason, we don't know, but he's out again. And it's obviously a big difference when he's not on the field, but players like Xavier McKinney and Quay Walker and Stokes and all these other guys need to be able to make these plays. Evans these guys need to make these plays. And it just seemed like the defense was just lost yesterday. Against a rookie quarterback and granted, they did have a new offensive coordinator come in because they fired theirs earlier in the week. Comes in and basically dices them up. And I understand it's a divisional game, but it's frustrating. It's frustrating because this defense is so much better, and they should have locked Caleb Williams down the whole game, and they just didn't do it. They were unable to do it. The Bears were 9 of 16 on 3rd down, which it's not great, but it's more than half. It's more than half. And some of those 3rd downs were, they were kind of like 3rd and shorts. A couple of them were 3rd and long, and they got it, and they were like wide open, got it right away. This other thing, they were 3 of 3 on 4th down. 3 of 3 on 4th down conversions. You can't let that happen. You can't let that happen. We were watching it. Whenever the Bears went for a 4th down, I thought to myself, like, oh, they're going to get it because the Packers aren't doing anything. They're just allowing this stuff to happen. The Bears offense is very, very simple. Either Caleb Williams is going to throw a quick short pass or Caleb Williams is going to run with the ball. And I'm just a fan watching television, and I know what the Bears are going to do. So I'm not understanding how a professional defense doesn't know what the Bears are going to do. And again, I get it. It's a divisional game. I get it. But this defense needs to be a lot better because we got San Francisco and Christian McCaffrey next week. So we need to tighten it up big time because otherwise Christian McCaffrey is going to get like 200 friggin' yards. We can't let that happen. The penalties was better this week. They tightened that up. Only 3 penalties for 25 yards. So they tightened that up. One of them, it should have kind of been 2. One of them was unnecessary roughness where Caleb kind of, and Xavier McKinney, where Caleb kind of flopped once he went on a bounce. A BS call. A BS call. It was a BS call. And it kind of upset me a little bit, but whatever. And special teams. Carl Brooks. I'm ready to lay down my life for you, man. Carl Brooks, with the Packers were dead to rights. Santos, all he had to do was kick a 43-yarder? 46, whatever it was. Carl Brooks gets his hand up. Just the tip. And you know what? I said this to my wife. God's a Packer fan. Because God himself lifted Carl Brooks up just a little bit more to be able to get that hand up there. And just the tip, able to knock it and sway the ball enough to where it didn't go in. Packers win. Heartbreaker for the Bears. Good, because, screw the Bears. So the Packers win, block field goal. Before we get into what the Bears did, this was the only the second time ever the Green Bay Packers have won on a blocked field goal. The last time they did it was nearly 85 years ago on November 26, 1939, where the Packers had a blocked field goal and held on to beat the Cleveland Rams 7-6. So I thought that was kind of a cool stat. It's a cool stat. Let's quickly get into the Bears on offense. The Bears dominated time of possession, 36 minutes, 21 seconds to the Packers, 23 minutes and 34 seconds. The Bears ran 68 plays compared to the Packers' 43 plays. So the Bears, like I said, the Bears felt like they were in control. They were in control. And it really felt like the Bears were the better team yesterday. They were. They straight up were. They played better. The defense was better. The offense was better. They looked more comfortable. They looked more aggressive. They looked more focused and together and had a game plan. Where the Packers kind of didn't, especially on defense. Caleb Williams, 23 of 31, 231 passing yards. No interceptions, no touchdowns. He did what he needed to do. Caleb Williams, if he continues to progress, he's going to be a good quarterback, and he's going to be a problem for the Packers for years to come. Swift was their leading rusher, 14 attempts for 71 yards and a touchdown. And this here, Caleb Williams, 9 attempts for 70 yards. He ran the ball only 9 times and got 70 yards, and a lot of those were crucial plays. So Caleb Williams, if he couldn't run the ball, or if he couldn't pass the ball, he was just running it, and he was able to do whatever he wanted. And I think that a lot of it is, and I think this is a problem in the NFL, is when you have a quarterback that, is a scrambler, that when they get out of the pocket and they start running, it seems like some of the defensive guys are scared to tackle them because the NFL is kind of wussy now, and you can't really hit a quarterback, otherwise it's like a flag. I don't have my flag with me, but I would say flag. But, I think that's kind of a problem. Gotta just wait until the quarterback gives himself up because you're too afraid to hit him. And I think that needs to change in the NFL. A lot of things need to change in the NFL, but that specifically needs to change. The leading receiver for the Bears was Rome Odunze. He had 6 receptions for 65 yards. Moore had 7 receptions for 62 yards. And then Deshaun Johnson had... he ran the ball 10 times for 33 yards and a touchdown. That was the one right at the end of the first half because the Bears are such a garbage franchise that they got a touchdown. First touchdown in 25 drives. And, of course, the Packers are the ones that let them do it because we're the Packers, and that's just what we do. We let teams break crappy records against us. And then... DeMarcus Walker had the one sack on Jordan Love. And then Santos, obviously the main guy here, 2 for 3 on his field goal, and then the blocked field goal for the Packers to end up winning. I also have written down here, like I said earlier, the Bears were quick and aggressive on offense. Caleb came out. He was confident all game. And he did kind of what he wanted. He was a very good game manager. He played well. He played really, really well. I think he's starting to progress, and I think Caleb Williams is going to be a good quarterback. And it's been a long time since we were able to really say that about a Bears quarterback. Although I do think Justin Fields was doing just fine without him. But the Bears going ahead, they're 4-6, and they got a rough road ahead. I'm just pointing this out. Looking at the Bears' schedule, it seems pretty possible the Bears could lose out the rest of their games, because now they got to play the division. They still got to play the Lions twice. They got to play the Vikings twice, and they have to play the Packers again. So it's very possible, and that's fine. The Bears could lose the rest of the games. That's fine. But I do want to finish on this before I get to next week with the Packers. Bears fans, we still own you. Talked a lot of crap. And yeah, it wasn't a pretty game. The Packers did not play a pretty game, and they should have lost that game. But we still own you. You talked a lot of crap, and it all meant nothing. You still lost. You now lost. Matt LaFleur is now 11-0 against you. That is the way it is. You guys suck. The Bears just suck. They just suck. Moving on next week for the Packers, they are now 7-3, sitting at third place in the NFC, and they now currently, as of right now, hold the 6th seed in the playoffs. If the playoffs were in today, they would be the 6th seed, which is not great, but they'd be in the playoffs. Coming up, now the Packers are, like I said in my midway through the season video the other night. Now we're getting in the rough, the meat and potatoes of the Packers season starts next week. Got the San Francisco 49ers coming off a loss. Brock Purdy seems to be a little banged up. Nick Bosa's a little banged up. Ayuk is done for the season. Debo's not playing well. I think Jennings is kind of banged up. I may be wrong about that. McCaffrey's coming off a big injury. Packers have an opportunity to take advantage of all that because the 49ers are good. They're 5-5, and they're playing for their division as well. So it's going to be a rough game. The Packers have a rough road ahead of them. They got the Niners, and then they got the Dolphins, who are starting to play better. And then they have the Lions again in Detroit. So we're getting into the rough patch. This Packers team that showed up yesterday shows up against these teams that are better than the Bears. It could get a little rough. So the Packers need to tighten up that defense. The offense needs to get in rhythm. Jordan needs to make better decisions, not throwing any interceptions at the goal line. But you just need to tighten up a little bit because now it's going to get rough. It's going to get rough. We can celebrate this win, celebrate that the Packers won, but now it gets rough. And I think the Packers are going to be able to go on a run here. They could still win the division. Okay? They can still go to the playoffs. They can still do all this stuff. I have a lot of confidence in this team. But it's going to get rough, and we need to tighten that stuff up. But very, very happy for the Packers win yesterday. The Bears still suck. We still own you. We got a big game next week against the Niners. Hopefully they can pull it off and get the win. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Pack Go.